Welcome back, true believers and all you merry Marvelites, to some very exciting Marvel games related news pertaining to the overall future of the company as a whole, and mainly for this year in particular with 2021, of us potentially and most likely receiving some very exciting announcements from Marvel Games pretty darn soon, mainly within the upcoming gaming festivities with that of E3, of course the Electronic Entertainment Expo, and Summer Games Fest, and of course possibly if PlayStation decides to make a massive gaming move around that time, a potential state of play that may showcase something very darn special. So to break down this news as simply as possible, I am actually going to be ripping the words straight from the mouth of the Senior Director of Product Development himself from Marvel Games, none other than Eric Monacelli, where he did go on Twitter to promote the 500th episode special from This Week in Marvel's podcast, and he did go and state in his tweet, "Got to talk a little Marvel Games past, present, and future with my work brother at Tim Sang, who, if you don't know, is a creative director over at Marvel Games, hosted by the always awesome Lorraine Sink and Agent M. Listen here on Spotify, #Marvel. But, specifically with what Eric Monacelli and Tim Sang had to discuss during the podcast, they did go on to say the following.
As we wrap up, obviously, there are always projects happening where at Marvel, it never stops. Everything is always going on. There are things that we can't talk about, but they are obviously in motion. I don't want to give anything away, but what are you guys excited about? What are you working on without spoiling anything, without giving anything away? What should, the Marvel fans be hyped for as we move on into the second half of 2021, as we move into the next 500 episodes of This Week in Marvel?
Well, this year, there's going to be a lot of cool digital events that are happening. So, I think from that perspective, we can safely say that there are going to be some interesting announcements and reveals and teasers and, just new things coming out. We're working on things every day, every hour, every minute, every sleeping, awake, whatever we're working. So,
yeah, lots of awesome stuff in the horizon. I see it more like a not destructive tsunami, but awesome tsunami.
Take away everybody's productive time with fun games to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
And if those statements from Eric and Tim don't do enough to get you fully excited about the potential reveals that we may end up receiving from Marvel Games in the near future, Bill Roseman himself did go on Twitter to simply quote the same exact statement that Eric indicated during the podcast to further push the overall importance of the future of Marvel Games. Now, I also did a video the other day, which I will leave as a link in the description below in case you didn't see it, of the latest leak/rumor essentially being confirmed that one of the major Square Enix and Marvel Games multi-year, multi-game partnership titles that is currently in development as of right now, which may end up being revealed during E3 and or Summer Games Fest, is none other than a fully AAA Guardians of the Galaxy game developed by Eidos Montreal and again published by Square Enix. We also know that Marvel's Avengers is another massive title within the Marvel brand that Square Enix is the publisher of, and given that the overall lack of content is still a pretty major issue for the game, I do think that the overall amount of content that we could see for that title being showcased during E3 is relatively high, mainly with the overall showcase of a Black Panther gameplay demo showing exactly how T'Challa will play within that game, or what I do believe a lot of people may be more interested in is finally seeing our first look at what Spider-Man is going to look and play like within Marvel's Avengers, who again is still scheduled to release sometime this year in 2021 exclusively for the PlayStation console. So keeping those Square Enix Marvel Games titles in mind, I do think that the chances of us receiving a potential content update for Marvel's Avengers and a potential reveal for the Eidos Montreal Guardians of the Galaxy game are pretty darn high, especially after hearing these statements from both Eric and Tim themselves. But of course, for all you massive Marvel Games fanatics out there like myself, I know for a fact that you don't necessarily care about the gaming titles that we currently already have released and are aware of, but more so we do want to see some truly exciting announcements for the Marvel Games property, just to see what type of brand new and fresh experiences that we can potentially expect from them to be unveiled during these upcoming gaming festivities. The first of which that does come to mind for all of you who have been keeping up with the recent rumors and teases, especially from Ed Boon himself, is of course a NetherRealm developed Marvel fighting game, either with that just being a simple Marvel vs. Marvel game, or something a bit more ambitious like that of a Marvel vs. DC game, again, fully developed by NetherRealm Studios, who, if you don't know, are the developers of Injustice and, of course, Mortal Kombat. Now, coming from me personally, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, is that I can 110% guarantee that I absolutely suck at almost every single fighting game that I've ever put my hands on, especially when it comes to 2D fighting games, of course, mainly pertaining to Injustice and Mortal Kombat. So if a game like that were to truly exist, I don't think I would personally be all that excited for it, but I do know that a lot of you massive fighting game lovers out there would truly love to see a fully AAA Marvel fighting game in the same realm of what we received already from DC in regards to Injustice 1 and 2, and of course all the other Mortal Kombat games being great examples of how wonderful of a studio NetherRealm is when it does come to their respective fighters. However, everything relating to that game is still just a rumor at hand. Nothing necessarily has been quote-unquote leaked for it, but just heavy amounts of discussion for the possibility of it existing. Still, if anything that Marvel Games were to unveil during E3 and Summer Games Fest were to get any amounts of attention, a Marvel/NetherRealm fighting game would definitely get the job done. And without a doubt, throwing every single game off to the side, the main title that I know every single one of you are wondering whether or not we could see a potential reveal for during these upcoming showcases within E3, Summer Games Fest, and potentially a Sony PlayStation State of Play, which is where I think this would make the most sense for them to reveal this possible title, is of course Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Now, I've already gone on record saying I think Insomniac would be absolutely crazy if they were to immediately reveal the sequel for Marvel's Spider-Man right after they release their next upcoming AAA title within their production pipeline, of course being Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Now granted, there's obviously different development teams within Insomniac's production that do work on several different titles at different points in time. It's not like that they're just finishing work right now on Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and now they have a full team fully working on Marvel's Spider-Man 2. They've obviously been working on this game for quite some time now, while the other division within Insomniac Studio is getting ready to launch Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on June 11th. But considering that E3 2021 does officially start on June 12th, the day right after Rift Apart releases, I do think that might be a bit too soon for them to immediately announce the massive, highly anticipated sequel fully showcasing Peter Parker running exclusively on next gen, only on the PS5, which I do think is a total inevitability at this point, and hopefully a potential reveal for the Black Suit's inclusion within the game's story and gameplay mechanics, with Miles Morales and Peter Parker both being playable Spider-Man within the game, would obviously be a mind-blowing dream come true if we were to see a potential reveal trailer for that title during the potential game festivities of Summer Game Fest, given that PlayStation is confirmed to be attending that specific showcase. But in short, everybody, no matter which hero that you are a massive fan of within the realm of Marvel Comics, seeing them just receive massively, highly anticipated, and hopefully fun interactive experiences within the Marvel gaming medium is just a wonderful sight to see. And no matter what announcements we end up receiving, I just think that getting excited for the world of gaming, especially for our favorite comic book characters, is just something that we definitely could use right about now. Although, if you guys know me, you'll be aware that I'll keep my fingers extremely crossed for any potential Spider-Man news and or updates that we may receive pretty darn soon. But with all that said, everyone, that is the video that I have for you today. Let me know all your thoughts about this in the comment section down below. What Marvel game property would you like to see be revealed from Marvel Games or Square Enix or Sony during the events of E3, Summer Games Fest, and again, a potential PlayStation State of Play that might occur during those times? Obviously, for me, it would have to be Marvel Spider-Man 2. A Doctor Strange Remedy-developed game is still a must-have in my opinion, and I am also going to dive back into Avengers, obviously, once Black Panther is included, and of course Spider-Man. but I really hope that Crystal Dynamics can turn things around for the title. Otherwise, it's still going to fall under the same types of traps that we are currently seeing for the game and its player base right now. But until next time, everyone, again, feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy. I would thoroughly appreciate it. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans, and stay merry Marvelites. Peace out.